Okay, hello everybody who's tuning in after the fact and everybody who's here. It is Monday, December the 10th, 2018. I lost my hair over the weekend and I'm still coming to terms with that. It is cold here in the Northeast, but it is warm in Jen's house where she has 4 Christmas trees. So exciting. I'm very glad that we're all able to hang out here. We got just a couple weeks to go to the end of the year and then a fresh start ahead of us in January. So very excited about that. We got some new folks joining in. We've got Tamara. Hello, Tamara's in the house. Tamara just joined, just got all of my stuff. I sent her an avalanche of emails this morning and now you're here, Tamara. Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Awesome. All right. So you're right on time. We're just about to get started. And we're going to start with a round of introductions. And we've got some new faces in the audience today. So let's start from scratch. Introduce yourself. Tell us where you are, what you're working on, what the status is, and kind of what is on your mind as far as next steps. And Jen, you're first on my Brady Bunch screen here. So I'm nominating you to go first. And I am very eager to hear an update on how things are going with you.
I'd love to hear an update too. So hi, I'm Jen. I'm in the north of Chicago, opening day house co-working someday. I don't know when. We have been just waiting on construction. The building is existing. It's a 6,000 square foot story, kind of industrial building from the 30s. It's pretty cool. Just there's build out that's happening inside. Landlord is my GC, and it's just delays after delays, and I'm feeling it right now. So I had really momentum up until about, I would say, 3 weeks ago, and now I'm just kind of like, I don't know, not feeling nearly so unstoppable now that I've hit this wall that we're just kind of dealing with. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right, Jen. Construction delays, big surprise. It happens. It sucks. It's terrible. I'm so sorry you have to deal with it. And it's also a very common thing. So let's maybe make some time to get into it a little bit more and talk about what your options are. I'm sure that that we have options. So let's maybe tell us some more details, and then we can assess what we can do with your situation.
I will say that I've started to think about phase 1 and phase 2. It's like, okay, so I was just in there briefly after dropping my daughter off from school. And I'm looking around going, there is no way that we're going to be done in 2 weeks like he originally said, or that he's the last update I got from him, which was 2 weeks ago. He's like, oh yeah, we're going to be done before Christmas. And I'm looking around going, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. So I was just kind of looking at stuff going, okay, well, this one thing isn't crucial. Like, we can open up without this one thing, and maybe they can do it later. And so I'm kind of starting to put things into phase 1 and phase 2 buckets. But on the other hand, there might be some stuff that, needs to be inspected. I don't know. And he apparently just got back from Greece last night. I did not even know he was out of the country. So
what?
I need to send him a text this morning like, welcome back. We need to talk. So
Okay, so you're already well on track to probably the most important thing, which is, kind of figuring out what is the minimum that you need to achieve in order to get this place open. And I will say, we opened Newark City, and it was a construction site for the first several weeks. We had one of our 2 bathrooms done, and the other one wasn't done. We had actually a whole third of our space was not ready to be occupied yet. But we basically worked with them to say, look, prioritize what we'll need to get some of this space open. Mm-hmm. And we were able to do that. And it was ugly, but we were open. The internet worked, the heat worked, like the water worked. People could go to the bathroom. So we could open for business. And then a lot of the cosmetics could come later. So, that could buy you weeks But it does require good communication with them and really walking through it all to figure that out. So.
Well, and I also don't want to present too much of a half-assed appearance, because then if that's somebody's first impression when they walk in,
yeah, well,
that's not going to fly, you know?
That's a judgment call, you know. I would say, you know, it might be that we're talking about a soft open with people who are already committed, that you're not taking, you know, that you're not presenting this as a finished product to new people yet. So if someone wants to come in for a tour, they're coming in for a special pre-launch tour, not for a this is what we're offering tour. Yeah. Okay, let's see if we can get back into that one when we have some time. Sorry to hear about it, Jen, and let's keep working at it. Alexander, I've just unmuted you, and welcome. So great to have you along. Thanks for joining. Tell us your story.
Hey, thank you for having me here. I'm Alexander. I'm in Western Massachusetts. I'm in the pre-launch stages of the space, building community and building the space out as well. I had 3 interior designers come in to give me some plans. I'm waiting for the last one Wednesday so we can make a final decision on restructuring the space. We have a space, it's not as big, it's probably 1,200 square feet for co-working, but we have 2 co-working kitchens, community kitchens that have been actively being used by caterers and people that own food trucks. They use the kitchen so far, and we have a really nice garden that we could use when the weather permits in order to launch from there. So we're starting in the center of the community and making the space accessible to the community.
Amazing, Alexander. Thank you for that. And can you tell us a little bit more about your motivation for doing this project? You know, I know you have a background that is kind of from one area, but now you're kind of entering into this other area. So tell us a little bit more about that.
My background is in real estate. I've been doing real estate for about 15 years, helping families buy and sell, also flipping properties. But the local nonprofit had the space that had not been utilized to the best use. So I decided to take the challenge and said, hey, I want to convert it into a co-working space and help you out with the co-working kitchens and take over that and really see it develop. As you know, as a real estate salesperson, usually you always have offices, you have space. And so I said, hey, it's a great opportunity to do the launch of the cost space, as myself and my team can also use the space, and a lot of colleagues in the community can use it.
Great. Thank you for that, Alexander. And what's on your mind as far as next steps? What's the timeline looking like? And, you know, what are you trying to figure out now?
So last week when I first spoke to you, Tony, we were building the list of those that can help me launch and do a soft pre-launch. So we're still working on that list. It's very extensive because the nonprofit has been around for 26 years. So they're helping into building that list out well and build the momentum in building our community first. The building phase, I'm thinking, is going to be about 4 weeks. We started cleaning the space up and moving things around that we didn't need. So it's a blank slate. Once I see the plans that I look into that, obviously being in real estate, I know a lot of contractors and people that are willing to jump in and help me. They just say, okay, figure out what you want and we'll get together back again once you know what you want. So that's what I've been reading, a lot of articles and a lot of stuff into what goes into a co-working space, and watching the videos from all of you guys. You get a lot of tips from that.
Awesome, Alexander. Thank you for that. And I would say that, you know, well, first of all, congrats on finding such a terrific partner with the nonprofit with 26 years of relationships. That means that the focus is going to be less on trying to find people and more about trying to prioritize the connections you've already got.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's going to be a major piece of the equation, is just getting through all the names and figuring out who do we spend our time really focusing on. So we could talk more about that later. Of course, you're still going to be meeting new people as well, but you know, it's great that you have such an amazing base to start with.
Yeah, and when I look at it, right, in a lot of the co-working spaces, it seems that people are doing hackathons and a lot of the technology sector. But coming from the nonprofit and from real estate, it's a whole different community that, you know, I'm trying to see how to build that synergy between different communities to use this space.
Yeah, and that's going to be something that you'll learn pragmatically with time as you talk to more of these people, learn their world a little bit, see how it merges with yours.
Awesome.
And also, by the way, 4-week build out. Can you do us all a favor? And when you're done, can you send your team over to Chicago to help Jen?
Jenny's, is her landlord. I guess they're just choosing what they need, right, Jen? That's what I understood.
Sorry, I didn't get what you said.
Your landlord is your builder, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess so what's holding you guys back in the project in terms of the build out?
I think subcontract.
Okay.
So like we had an electrician that fell down on another job, broke both of his legs, had to find a new electrician,
Wow.
go through. But the past few weeks, I don't know, because it seems to all be his crew that we're waiting on. So I'm hoping to have a conversation with him. If not today, then tomorrow. It's just it's just piling up.
Okay.
I mean, at least you didn't have the electrician get hurt on your job. I mean, could be worse, right?
I know, right? I know. Oh my God, that's terrible. I hope he's gonna be okay. Thank God he didn't hurt himself on my site.
Ugh, yeah, poor guy. Okay, awesome. Alexander, welcome. So excited to have you in the group and excited to be supporting you and getting this project off the ground. Megan, let's say hi to you and tell us what's going on in Vermeer.
Hey everyone. I have a co-working space called the Mountain Hub in Invermere. We're a small town, about 3,500 people in Invermere. And November was our busiest month yet. So we opened July. November's rocking and rolling. Hope to carry some of that momentum through December into the new year. Right now, just managing, we have a ton of events that are going on. We have the weekly lunch and learns that are really well attended, converting non-members into members, which is really awesome. And then we have other people using the space. So we have a handmade furniture pop-up happening on Saturday. Tomorrow's International Mountain Day. So we have a presentation, kind of what is that, Picha Kucha style tomorrow. Hosted by a local not-for-profit. So just, I think, trying to keep, again, my head above water, making sure that these events are well attended, everyone has a great experience coming away from the Mountain Hub, and then going to try to take some time over the holidays to do some strategic planning that I feel kind of it's weighing heavily on me is what do I want for 2019 and what do we focus on, and how do we kind of capitalize on this momentum that I feel like we're slowly gaining.
And you feel that weighing on you?
I guess maybe a better way to look at it is I'm really excited to look at 2019, and I know the importance of it to figure out what do we prioritize, how do we shift everything. I want to start capping memberships so that we can really focus on the members and get more of a commitment from them. And so that's one of the things that is kind of weighing on me a bit is how do we capture those people that are really committed to the space versus the tire kickers that want to come pay cash and pay for 1 month here and 1 month there. How do we work with that?
Awesome. That's actually a really interesting challenge to kind of work through. And I see what you mean in terms of it being kind of excitement and pressure. And you've got a good thing going and now you kind of want to, I don't want to say you want to not screw it up, but you want to, make good use of what you got. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Good on you. I mean, this is amongst the list of things to be dealing with right now. This is pretty much at the very top of the list of challenges that you'd want to have. So congrats on that. Cool. And have you done any year-end next year planning? I know we talked planners a couple weeks ago.
I saw that new planner has been released that you were talking about, the Susanna Conway.
That's right.
I have it on my list. I'm going to print it out today and probably not get to it until I think over the Christmas holidays.
it's a good. So to catch everyone else up, Susanna Conway creates this Unravel Your Year planner, which is a free workbook that's like 70 pages, and it's like a whole personal year in review. It's super, super neat. I actually printed mine out, and I've just got like a few sheets that are, hang on, I gotta switch views here. Oh yeah. So I just got like a few sheets of it on my clipboard here, but it's got a lot of kind of neat questions about like just reviewing the past year and then talking about what's ahead. So I created a co-working version of this.
That's right too. Yeah, I need to look at that.
Including there's like make your word for the year. So I'm starting to like kind of put together what my word for next year is going to be. Sorry. So yeah, that is super amazing. I've been using this for a few years and I'm a big fan of it, and it's free and it's so good. She could sell it for money and she doesn't, I guess, because it's a good like lead gen for her, or she's just a generous soul, or both. But big fan of that. So that's SusannaConway.com/unravel. And yeah, so cool, Megan. And it's definitely a nice thing to do when you kind of like, weekend, late at night, when you're having your hygge time, sipping your tea by the fire kind of thing. So let us know how it goes.
Will do.
Awesome. And Tamara, you just joined the group last night, and now you're here this afternoon. So welcome. So nice to see your smiling face, and tell everybody who you are, where you're at, what your story is, when we met, all that good stuff.
I'm looking at you, Tony, thinking, oh my God, it's so different with your hair short. Tony and I met in Toronto in October of 2016 at Juicy. And yeah, we went to dinner, I think, one night with a bunch of people, but I picked his brain. It was 2015, not 2016, it was 2015, because I opened my space on
Yes.
coworking in April of 2016. So we've been open 2.5 years. We're in the near south side of Fort Worth, which literally just, a few miles from downtown Fort Worth. We're not in downtown proper. We're in a south section of it. We are the first woman-owned co-working space in North Texas. I believe we're still the only 100% owned by a woman. We're not for women only, but that's kind of I think a big deal that we're the first woman-owned in North Texas. We have 5,750 square feet. We have 12 private offices, 8 dedicated desks, open co-working for, if you do the math, probably 75. I have 3 conference rooms. One's a large event space and training room kind of thing. And we're in this quaint little neighborhood that's kind of this artsy kind of district. We're in like this arts / hospital district that's been refurbed and revived in this neighborhood. We're surrounded by 4 neighborhoods of historic homes. But because it is a neighborhood that's being revived, it's still multifamily housing is still being built, and so it's like you have these $1 million homes on one side, and then you have these other homes, Victorians, that are being refurbished and being rebuilt, and so the neighborhood is still coming back kind of to life now. When I opened in 2016, I think, for lack of a better way of saying it, and you guys could correct me if you don't like the terminology, but I like to say the first traditional co-working space in Fort Worth. Dallas has tons of them, but you're talking about 30 to 45 minutes away. There was CoLab was here first, but they have like 27 private offices and a co-working space that nobody was ever using, and they had nobody managing the front. So now they've actually leased out their entire co-working space to one company, and they still don't have anybody. So they're more of an office suite. Then we had Craftwork Coffee Company, which is a hybrid coffee shop / co-working space with very little co-working, primarily. And then we opened, and then last October, right? So a year ago, not not just this past, a year ago, October, Common Desk came over from Dallas, big independent co-working space over there. Nick is a great guy. But they got in a very hot area, 13,000 square feet, very slick. It looks like a bar. And then in March, WeWork opened, in which I swore that they would never come here because the market is so different, and I was wrong. And they put a good hurt down on me for a while. The first 8 months of this year was tough.
How did they do that? What did they do to put the hurt on you?
The referrals that I was getting from the entrepreneurial community that I was a part of just stopped. The tours went from doing, 5 to 7 a week to 1 to 2 every 3 weeks. It was just like nobody was even coming in the door. They were just going there and Common Desk. So, we're set up very differently. We're in a different neighborhood. Both those we're probably triangular, about 3.5 miles from each other, the three of us. And my space is not industrial. It's not. It's the polar opposite of theirs, which is okay. We're comfortable. Everybody says it's very homey. I realize that it's about now finding my niche and my people. I was also going through a difficult time with my business partner, which ended in a dissolution of the partnership in August. So in May, we split up. In August, the final was there. So that kind of played a big part in the whole having to take back control of the parts that were not being done properly and getting re-established. So once I kind of got that going, we started to pick back up in membership in August and September. We still, from an open co-working standpoint, are low in numbers. Our offices now have done really well because we added a bunch of windows to our back offices. So I don't really have anyone to bounce ideas off of anymore, right? I'm kind of alone, and I was looking for a community. I have a couple of other co-working space. I mean, I'm in Women Who Co-work, and I just didn't feel like I was getting elevated, enough. And I have enough people to kind of talk to about the things that I'm going through and how to address these challenges and overcome them, because I have opportunities for some more spaces like right now, sitting at my back door, people waiting for me. And my expansion plan is in areas where none of these people are going to be going. So I intentionally opened where I am because it is a more popular area, and I'm in Fort Worth, and now I've established a name for myself in the community. So now my growth plan is into the suburbs, which is not where these people are going to be going. And Fort Worth is surrounded by a lot of suburbs.
Okay, well that's useful that you're kind of going in a direction that the other guys won't follow, and I think that's part of what we want to look at when we're charting out how we're going to address this kind of situation you're describing, because we had the same situation. Year 4, the big dogs came in and took a big bite out of our membership, and they were really like they were actively poaching members from us, offering them a year of free rent.
I did have that happen as well with a couple. Yeah.
And it's going to happen. We're in a capitalist society. It's a free market, and big guys with a lot of money are going to exist. And so the way that you counter it is by being more you, right? We can't be like them. So we got to be more like us. And it sounds like you're already starting to zero in on what that can be. And, maybe it's also worth acknowledging, even just in this forum, that losing a partner and having the business survive is quite a thing. To have a business partnership and to have it not work out and to go through the process of dealing with that dissolution and to not have the business go out of business in the process, for you to still be standing, is a huge accomplishment for you. So, I'm sorry that you have to go through that. And I'm also, recognizing that you are still here and you've made it, through that, and that the shockwaves of that are going to take time to really set in and adjust from. So I think it's totally understandable that you're going to have this period of time of adjustment. So yeah, so we can talk a little bit more about what it means to embrace your identity and your community's existing culture, and what we can do to kind of understand that better, so we could come up with a plan for January. And I could tell you a little bit about what I did, which I think can be helpful too. And we want to also talk about what Jen was talking about with the construction delays and what we can do there as well in terms of triage. She's turned off her camera, so I'm wondering if maybe we save Jen's portion for the second part of our conversation.
Up to you. I had to, I'm just walking around my house for a second. I got to take care of some stuff, but.
All right, cool. Let's stay with Tamara then, since we're here.
Okay.
All right. So Tamara, I want to, if it's cool with you, let's kind of make this our topic for the next few minutes to discuss a little bit, which is this idea of the independent space embracing its identity and maybe even reframing its identity a little bit. So one of the things that is good about when members leave is the fact that you have an opportunity to reframe the culture of your space. So when I lost a bunch of members to WeWork and Ali and some of the other guys, the people that I lost were part of a culture that had taken hold in my space that was kind of we were in a bit of a slump. People weren't really talking to each other. We started falling into that everyone comes in and puts on their headphones and goes home and doesn't talk kind of vibe. But the problem was that we were full, or we were almost full. And so it's really hard to change the culture and the expectations of people who are already in your space. So if someone's coming in and they're not friendly, or they're not like they're friendly, but they're not like social, and they don't want to be bothered, like I don't want to kick them out. They're a paying customer, but it's also kind of hamstringing my ability to vitalize the space's energy. Whereas, as much as it hurts to lose their business, every seat that's vacated is a seat that you can now fill with someone with a totally new relationship to your space. And so that is kind of our like starting point, is that this gives us a chance to say, well, the next person that walks in the door is going to be somebody who is a part of the next round of culture in the space. Mm-hmm. And you can see over time, I have a graphic of this somewhere, but if you kind of color code by the season, the different groups of people that come and go from your space, you can see over time that it becomes kind of a rainbow. Over the years, we have a few people from the very beginning, and a few more from the year after that, and a few more from the year after that. But there's kind of this big bulge of people that are people who have been members for the last 6 or 12 months, and then they kind of wane, and then a new bulge emerges. And you can see that in those groupings, there can often be a sense of kind of affiliation, that like people who joined around the same time tend to be closer to each other. So like if I go, I'm actually hosting a holiday party for my old co-working space next week, and you'll see there's cliques of like the people who joined in fall of 2012 and the people who joined in spring of 2013, and like that kind of seasonal thing is kind of a natural emergent phenomenon. But we can actually be deliberate about that and design for it. And it just so happens that January is like the best time of year to recruit new members. So we've got a really great chance now to embrace this time to really proactively welcome new members in a new way. And everybody who's been here a while has heard this story multiple times, but Alexander and Tamara, for your sake, and for anyone who hasn't caught this in a previous thing, I'll just recap really quickly. During this time was when I invented Cotivation, which you guys, okay, you're both nodding, so thumbs up so you know what I'm talking about, accountability group. But the idea was I actually geared it around keep your New Year's resolution and grow your business and do it with accountability in a community. And what I did was I made that the thing on the homepage. So the idea was, and I did it in late December. I did it like between Christmas and New Year's. And I would do it earlier if I were you. But what we want to do is we want to not be playing the game of come rent our workspace. even if that's what people are paying for at the end of the day, we want to give people the ability to do that. What we want to be playing the game of is come hang out for an interest meeting for this program that I know you'd be interested in. And the interest meeting is Monday, January X, whatever it is. It's early-ish. Yeah, so Monday, January 7th, Tuesday, January 8th would be just enough time that you catch post-New Year vibes. So you say, okay, we're going to have an interest meeting for our new thing. Maybe you, and by the way, you guys have the materials in the toolkit. Start a Cotivation group. Please do it. Or start something else, but you totally can. Oh, sorry. What's that, Tamara? I can't hear you.
Oh, Cotivation is in the toolkit?
It is. There is a entire handbook that Susan Dorsch and I put together. There's flyers, there's graphics, there's social media posts, there's copy the crap out of it. You guys are my people now, and I don't have a co-working space anymore. So please take my stuff and use it. Steal it, copy it, download it, share it, make it happen. Just don't resell it unless you talk to me first. So then we say, okay, come to the interest meeting for the awesome thing we're going to do, January 8th, Tuesday the 8th, right? And now you're going to get people who are interested not in renting space, but in connecting with other people who are going to help them be more productive or help them be more successful or help them figure out what to do with their lives or whatever it is. And when I had that first meeting of Cotivation, it was about 15 people. It was about half new people and half existing members who were hungry for something like this. And everything got so much better from there on, from 2013 to 2015 and beyond. The people in that group formed super deep bonds. Some of those people ended up hiring each other and still work together today. Some of those people are best friends. But our business shot up like a rocket ship. Our culture got so much better. Those people formed the cultural core of Newark City from 2013 onward. And we'd been in business 5 years, but these guys took over because they were that next band, that next color, that next layer. And they were amazing and they loved each other. And there were all these other ripple effects that came from that thing. And so you can make that whatever you want it to be. In Megan's case, for example, and maybe she'll share it with us a little bit, she learned that she has this marketing expertise, which is super valuable to basically anybody, especially people who are entrepreneurs, people who freelance, and that people actually are really interested in what she has to offer. And so she started gearing her recruiting around packaging together, sharing her marketing expertise as part of membership. And that turned out to be a really successful endeavor. Am I right, Megan?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a weekly lunch and learn 12 to 1 every Tuesday. And I would say that we've got 5 new members from and me has been running it for the last about 5 weeks. So it's about a member a week, which is awesome. And so what I was trying to do is just drive value around membership. For us, it's not really a culture thing. In the sense that people come and use it and put their headphones in. It's more of the barrier to entry of why would I work in a co-working space when I can work from home and I don't have that much money to pay for it. So I knew that I had to drive additional value around the membership that wasn't just using the space and a sneaky way to let them see the magic of collaboration and what happens when people come together. That wasn't enough to draw them in either. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do this lunch and learn. I'm going to force everyone to network anyway. And we're a small town, so everyone is really friendly and chatty. Let's also just secretly deliver that with the vehicle of marketing. And so all of a sudden, all this cross-pollination is happening. People are hiring other people. People are now partnering. It's just been magic. And I thought from a silly lunch and learn, I didn't think anyone would show up, to be honest. So we had it in our small conference room, the first one, and we ran out of space. Since then, it's been growing and growing. I'm shocked still that people show up, but everyone now has fun and people will bring lunch for one another and goodies and snacks. And it's turned into just a really, really fun, rewarding event.
So you're teaching you're teaching different marketing things and you're doing it weekly and you're doing it for free.
Yes. Well, actually, which is interesting. So it's $20, which is kind of steep, $20 for non-members, free for members. And in the beginning,
And
people
no
were
lunch,
just
right.
no lunch, nothing, just an hour. Bring your lunch. Lunch and learn, brown bag it. I'll have coffee, I'll have tea, I'll have some other little things like that. And people were paying. And I finally added a slide at the end of the presentation and was like, just so you know, this is included if you're a member, which I didn't do a very good job. And then everyone's like, oh, okay. It's like, oh, shoot, I forgot to sell. I mean, the $20 was kind of nice, $100 here and there, but then all of a sudden people were like, oh. and so I have a community membership, and that's $30 a month. And then that's typically the one that people will enter into and then start to use the space, start to meet people, and then they're looking for more, which is really great. And I keep the topics really simple, like Google Analytics 101. We're going to do sales funnels 101. Everything's a 101, and then we can dive deep into there. And then now I'm testing out, I'm going to do a marketing masterclass in January. So now I'm testing out the deeper dives if people have time and are interested in that. But yeah, just keeping it simple. And then from there, you can also see who's interested. Even if not everyone shows up, I can see, oh man, there's a lot of people interested in analytics, or there's a lot of people interested in sales funnels, just by the Facebook measurements.
So this is terrific. It's such a win. And Megan, I feel like if you ever want to turn this into a product, we can add it to the toolkit.
Yeah.
I want to write it down. Okay. So there's something there that I want to underscore too, which emerged naturally for me with Cotivation. This is a really good idea, and I want someone to take this even further, which is the 1-2 punch. You have the event, and the event motivates you to join for a basic membership, right? But then you've got people who are all primed to work on the same kind of stuff, and they're going to all go home and work on it together or work on it separately. If the 1-2 punch is, if this was good, now tomorrow we're going to do a work sprint at 10 a.m. where we're all going to work on our marketing stuff together. And so we're all going to do our own stuff. We're all going to have focus time, but we'll also be able to have time to compare notes and have discussions and troubleshoot with each other. And that's part of membership. So if you want to come and actually work on this stuff, this is your excuse to come and work in this space, because tomorrow you're not just going to show up and do whatever work and email and Facebook and whatever. Tomorrow you're going to show up and we're all going to work on marketing together. And there's a critical mass of people in the room that all want to work on the same thing, and they all want to work on it tomorrow. So come on in tomorrow. And if you've got somebody who's a prospective member, you might even say, well, I'll give you a discounted rate for your first visit or whatever it is. This is a great time to give them the hidden coupon that, makes your day pass half off or whatever it is. But I'm saying that is gold. And what I have thought about doing to really go even further with it is to do that as a follow-up to any event you host in the space. Because I think even if it's not yours, if it's someone else hosts an event in your space. And I could see this really working for your space, Jen, if you're having events there. Like we have like a WordPress meetup, and the WordPress meetup is in our space. Everyone's so primed about some new plugins they learned about. Not hard to just say something at the end. By the way, anybody wants to work on who here is going to work on their plugins tomorrow? Awesome. All of you, come visit the space tomorrow. I'll give you a coupon for half off your first visit, and let's do a work sprint on it. 10 seconds, but now you've given them a really good reason to come work in your space tomorrow. And this is the thing we need to do to differentiate from the other guys, and what they're going to struggle with for a while is that our spaces need to be intentional places that people come to hang out with a group of people for a reason on a day and a time, because just sitting around being on the internet in a space is just not going to be compelling enough. Too many people are able to offer it for free or for cheap. Too many people are not going to co-working spaces at all because there's just not enough value in it. And so creating that added layer of context, I think, is going to be a necessity for the independent co-working space movement going forward, which actually gives me a nice segue to show you a little something that I found in New York City yesterday. So I've been railing about the fact that free co-working is a thing. This is a bit of a segue, but I hope you'll indulge me. So brands are now sponsoring free spaces that you could just hang out and work in. And in New York City in particular, there's a number of these. And just around Union Square in Manhattan, there are 3. There's a Lululemon space, there's a Capital One space, and there is, I swear I'm not kidding, a Kellogg's cereal brand free hangout workspace. And I'm gonna put it up on the screen. I'm sure there's a better way to share these photos, but just so you can see, that is like prime space in Union Square. And oh man, come on, focus. So that is that you can see, like, they've got the logos of the cereal boxes, Toucan Sam, and all that stuff. And this is oh boy, I screwed it up. There's a real space that I just hung out there and worked in for free for hours yesterday, and they sell cereal, and they've got all their, I mean, if you have any kind of, like, feelings about, like, big business and sugar peddling large corporations, this is like dystopia city right here. I mean, you literally got giant Toucan Sam hovering over your head as you hang out to have a meeting. So there you go. That is the future of people being able to just go hang out and work somewhere. And yeah, that's going to be in the big cities, and you might not have Kellogg's co-working in Fort Worth. But the point is, the value of being able to just hang out somewhere and work is rapidly approaching zero. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Capital One is piloting these free workspaces, and that's the future of what their banks are going to be like, is you can just go hang out in the bank and have coffee, and that the other banks will follow suit, right? So point being, I'm saying this to all my friends, co-working ain't what it used to be. Like when I got started, I could sell in 2008, get out of your house and come work here with your laptop and plug in somewhere and be on the internet. And that was something that I could sell. And that's rapidly becoming something that we can't bank on selling. But the thing we need more than ever is people that we can trust, that we like, that we get along with, who will help us. We are a lonely, lonely society. We're a depressed society. We're an anxious society. We're a scared society. And it all comes back to the fact that we're separate and we don't have communities. We don't have people that we can feel like we can trust, that we can count on, that we can speak to. And the need for that is massive and massive and massive and largely untapped. And a lot of those people are working at home. And so by doing these kinds of programs like Megan was describing, like I was describing, we can tap into that. And if you can share your passion for addressing the loneliness in your city, people are going to feel that and they're going to respond to it, and good things are going to start happening. End rant. How's all this landing for you, Tamara? How do you think this can plug into your community, and like, what do you think might be a next step for you?
I absolutely love this. So we looked at Cotivation a couple of years ago, and again, to kind of having a business partner is really good in a lot of ways. It's also very can be hand tying, and she didn't really buy into it as much, and so we never did it. I've also kind of gotten, which for those of you who are new at starting out, you get kind of burnt on the programming. You get burnt out, right? And you get stuck on ideas, and you just kind of are like, ugh, right? And so I'm loving these new ideas, and I think putting myself face forward is one of the most important things. Megan, I too have a marketing background. I've been in marketing for almost 18 years. And so I haven't really tapped that and utilized that enough. And I think that's not a smart move. So I really love everything you guys are saying. I love the work sprint terminology. We had talked about something like this where we were going to do some work days. But I love the term sprint and really focusing on a particular thing. And like you said, tying into different speakers that come into the space and talk. So I love that. So I'm feeling really hopeful and excited about what you're saying. And I enjoy hearing, it sounds kind of odd, but I actually enjoy hearing Tony talk about how it's changed a bit, because I do feel like, you know, I'm constantly on reading about what's happening in the marketplace from big to small and all that other stuff. And for not just for co-working, but for the entrepreneurial world. And so I think it's about being cognizant of what is going on around us and how do we adapt and how do we pivot and how do we make ourselves stand out. So coming back to that fact that it is about people. You know, I tell people this all the time. I'm like, I'm not in the business of leasing space. I'm in the people business. And so to continue to focus on that and not let things deter me from that focus, which is easy to happen sometimes, because like everyone, I was listening to a lot of people around me who maybe had my best intentions at heart, not totally sure, who were like, well, you know, you're just going to have to change your space to look more like them. And, you know, because both Common Desk and WeWork, when you walk in, the first thing you see are the kegs, and they look like bars. They really do. And I'm like, well, we have free beer too. They're just not on tap and they're not out front, right? They're in the kitchen and it's for certain events. We don't promote drinking all day long every day, although some days, 2 o'clock, sometimes somebody's drinking, but that's on their own accord. So I kind of got caught listening to that a little bit this year as well, at the beginning of, you know, this year, and got off track of knowing who I was and what I was doing this for and who my community is. So it's really good to hear this. I appreciate it. And I hope that as much as I need from you guys right now, that I'm also able to pour into you with my knowledge of what's I've been doing here right. And as well as my knowledge of running business as a whole and my marketing side of business.
Awesome. All right. I'm glad to hear it, Tamara. And please do, you know, keep us posted as you do this investigation. I would say what we want, and I want everybody to be doing this, is to come up with what you're going to do for January, what your plan is. And it doesn't matter if you have a space or not, because there's always a way to be doing some kind of organizing, some kind of gathering. You don't need a co-working space to gather people. But if you do have a space, especially, we need our member recruitment plan for early January. And it can be really lightweight. It could be one event. It could be a, oh God, what did she do? The Blueberry Muffin Social, which was like a big win for Christine at WorkSmart. And, you know, but something that we're going to do to try to capture people in the best way possible for January, even if it's to like just keep your schedule open for the first 2 weeks and really be available and ready to receive all the new leads that come in, or whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, just to have some kind of plan and for us to come up with that in the next week or so that it's not weighing on you over the holiday time, and so that you can start to lay the groundwork so the website's ready. Because I think, I don't have science behind this, but my thinking is that sometime during Christmas and then in between Christmas and New Year's is when there's this time of people thinking, oh man, it's cold and dark, I gotta get out of the house. Maybe I'm moving, or maybe I'm changing my work situation or whatever, come January 1st. Maybe whatever, my money situation is changing and I got to find a space. And that's when we want to be ready to catch people with something really enticing. And so even just one event really prominently displayed can be huge in capturing that person. And just to kind of add one bit of thing to that, and this is bigger in a bigger city, is that, you know, I'm in New York, someone's coming to my space for a tour. I rant about tours. I think tours are, by and large, are just terrible constructs. It's very surface level. It's hard to make a genuine connection. And when you're on a tour, you go, you know, somebody comes tour my space. I know that I'm space number 4 of 12 that they're visiting in one day. And what did they see at the end of the day? They saw some printers, some conference rooms. They saw some fancy light, like whatever, right? And that's like, what did they get out of the experience? If they came at the end of the day and they were like, yeah, that space was nice, this one was cheap, this one was interesting, blah, blah, blah. And also I'm going to be going to the Blueberry Muffin Social, where we're going to be talking about why muffins are wonderful and how to market my freelance business next Tuesday at this space. Like, that space is going to have a better chance of making an impression. Even if you end up, like, even if that person ends up being a member at another space, they're still going to come to your place and come to your event and check out what's going on and make a relationship. And, you know, look, maybe they sign up for WeWork and then they hate it, but they remember you, and 6 months from now they join your space. You know, there are a lot of spaces I've heard that have talked about how, like, a huge portion of their business is WeWork refugees. And really, to add to this rant, how is it that, like, how 20, like, is offering free beer, unlimited free beer, really that seems like, it seems so, like, I want to say it seems so Kavanaugh. It seems so 20th century, doesn't it? It seems so, like, kind of like, is that the vibe we want to go after, you know? So I think that it might be hurting more than it's helping. It might be attracting the kinds of people you wouldn't want in your space.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think even playing that up could be to the advantage, to say, like, this is not a free beer crowd, even though maybe we do have all free beer, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, to play the ante to that. Like, this is a healthy, safe environment where, you know, these kinds of things are managed.
Well, and the people you drink beer with, that's what makes it fun. It's not the beer, it's the people. It's the community, you know, and so that's, like, yeah, it all goes back to who you're drinking that beer with, for me.
Exactly.
That's powerful. That's very true.
Jen, who have we got joining the call here?
Oh.
Hello. Hang on, I can't hear you. Unmute. Okay. Yeah, you're unmuted.
This is Greta.
Hi, Greta.
She really likes coffee, and she knew that I had a coffee cup up here, and so she was whining, and I couldn't take it anymore. So now she's on my lap.
Does Greta drink coffee?
Not intentionally, but if she, I mean, she's only a dachshund, so, you know, her legs are very short. But if she ever has access to coffee, she will take the opportunity.
What happens when a dog drinks coffee?
You know, nothing happens to her. She stays normal.
She seems super serene. She seems like she might actually could go for a little coffee right now.
You know, right? Well, I'm giving her a nice belly rub. Yeah, she's 11. She's got a brother that's around somewhere. I don't know where he is right now. But yeah, Guinness and Greta, they were my first babies.
Are they going to hang out with you in the space?
Hell no, because she is loud AF.
All right, fair enough.
Guinness, maybe. He's not so well these days, so he's a little more mellow, but she's a barker.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
The policy, I'm remembering now how I responded to people about dog policy in Newark City, which is, first of all, allergies take precedence. So if someone has an issue, yeah. But I said, you know, dogs are welcome as long as they're perfect.
Yeah.
And that basically, you know, that explains it, right? Like, they can't be barking or running around making noise or whatever. Like, they have to be perfect. And if they're perfect, then great.
Yeah, Angel actually has a really good canine member document, or it's like a little blurb on her member agreement, and it's like a canine member agreement, and it's like, you need to use your indoor voice and your outside potty and all this other stuff. It's pretty good.
Does she have a spot for them to put a paw print to sign? That would be perfect. Maybe.
I know the place in Seattle that you showed us, you know, they've got the canine members down at the bottom, Office Nomads.
That's right. Yeah, the member. That's right. From when I toured Office Nomads.
Yeah.
That was a really fun video. You can find that in the YouTube playlist archive for Tamara and Alexander. You can go. I don't know if you've done this yet, but the YouTube playlist, which you'll see a link to again in my weekly emails. I mean, it's like 60 plus hours of these video calls, but you'll see a tour I did of Office Nomads in Seattle, which was just jam packed with cool stuff. Cool. All right. So Jen, we are almost out of time, but I do want to really quickly touch on your construction situation. And what I want to touch on is not the actual stuff, like dealing with figuring out what to do as far as the construction. We already talked a little bit about streamlining it. We could follow up on email, but how to rally the community during this time. And so I'm wondering, what do you think you can do to keep growing the community and keep growing the momentum and deepening those connections while the space continues to, amble along.
And that's been really hard for me because I think that people understand that construction is inherently made up of delays, but I feel like people are also getting a little ticked off, maybe, and a little impatient. And I have put the brakes on promoting our pre-launch memberships just because I don't know when we're launching it right now, and I feel kind of bad about asking for people's money. As it is, I'm trying to keep my people in the loop. The 15 or so members I already have. I don't know. I kind of feel like an asshole right now.
Okay, so this is where vulnerability really comes into play, right? Because especially a lot of these people are on board with you from the very beginning. So if you're able to say that to them in person in some kind of a gathering, to say, look, I feel terrible, even though we all know there's nothing on earth you can do, right? You still feel terrible, but like you want to be able to share with people, look, like I know you're putting your trust in me and I'm doing everything I can and I'm sorry. And I want to do everything I can to make it better. And also let's work together to figure out what that can be, like how we can do that. We need to find a way to keep the conversation going and to keep the momentum up and to keep the connection there. And if we can do that, then hopefully you can continue to grow your community and grow the impact that you have while dealing with the delay. Because you still have, sorry.
Oh, Jessica and I actually talked about inviting them all to lunch sometime soon.
Do it. And I would say like create some kind of a standing thing on whatever schedule you think is comfortable. Maybe, no less frequent than once every 2 weeks, if not once a week, where there's something that requires zero effort to coordinate, like a standing lunch at the same location at the same time and day every time, where you can keep everybody up to speed and you can also use that as an opportunity to ask for help. So people will know, what they can do to support you in any given moment. And it might be like, who here knows an electrician? Or something else. But the more that you're able to keep people involved, the more they'll be able to help you and the more they'll feel like they're a part of it. And I think where we get into trouble is when we clam up because we're exposed, because we're vulnerable about the fact that things are going wrong. But then they start to wonder, like, what the hell's going on? I haven't heard from Jen in a while. Is this even happening? What, blah, 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 right? So the more that people are involved in that process, the more they can kind of defend you. Because if you can tell your story and it sucks, but now you've got 5, 10, 15 people in your community who know it, and then other people are like, hey, WTF is going on with that space, then they can be like, no, look, Jen's totally getting screwed over, but she's doing her best. She's really like rocking it. It's going to be fine. And I'm actually helping her out with finding an electrician. So, like it's going to happen, right? The more you can have other people being like your political surrogates out there in the community spreading that, the better. We can foster some sympathy because this ain't new and people should be feeling for you. What's that, Tamara? Sorry.
Well, I just want to encourage you to be vulnerable and authentic with them about this because, like Tony said, this absolutely happens. When we opened, we were a disaster as well. People were sitting around, furniture that was barely put together. And so don't be afraid to get it open and get going at the level that you're at. And then to keep the communication with them. I know you feel like a fraud, but you're not. And you're just a business owner just like them. So just remember that by sharing those challenges that you're going through, you're also sharing with them the entrepreneurial journey, which is what we're all going on and going through together.
Yeah. Good call.
Please let us know if you do schedule that lunch.
Yeah, actually, I've already thought of a place, so I think we're going to do it next week. We're just going to do it.
Do it.
Going to do it.
Amazing. Jen, thank you for that. Thank you for your bravery and for your patience and strength. And I'm very excited for this, and it's going to work out. And thank all of you. Thank you all for joining, for being a part of this thing, and for sharing your wisdom and everything with us. Really excited to have our new friends along, Alexander, Tamara.
Thank you.
Keep us posted on how things go. Send emails to the Google group. You can see that it's an email address. You send something to that email, it goes to everybody. That's how we can all support each other, is by sharing our stories and asking for help. So if you start to spin up a Cotivation for January, you want us to like review your landing page, send it to the group. You're going to get all kinds of terrific feedback. So please use that group. It is your power crew of advisors and supporters.
Awesome.
All right. Keep rocking it. Keep doing the wonderful work you're doing. You're making the world a better place, and I will see you in a week. And oh my God, that puppy is adorable. Gosh. Okay. All right, guys. Great talking to you. I'll see you next week. Keep being awesome.
Ciao.
All right. Bye.